Hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? Welcome to another model car vlog here on the Luka channel. And I've got my guest here, Billy Strange, because we have got a really interesting subject to talk about today that, I just thought it would be great. I'm not so much blowing my face off, this time, Billy. I'm kind of calm. This is kind of a pretty neat thing. But, just to get it going here, there was a really great post by a new member of our Luka Model Car Hobby Headquarters Facebook group. Wow, that's a lot still. Christopher Collins, excellent builder. He's kind of a contender and kind of one of the young guns coming up, which I kind of consider you one of the young guns coming up. And that kind of plays into, I got a really cool interview coming up with somebody that's going to get talked about, but that's not what this is about. He posted a question that I think was really excellent conversation, positive model car conversation on the group. And I sent that to you. I kind of tagged you in it and we looked at it, so I'm going to pull it up and we'll read it to the audience and we'll talk about it. I want to get your take on it, Billy, and I'll give my 2 cents also. So here it is. It's a great one. So, serious question or questions, he says. What do you look to achieve when building a model? Not all of us build on the same level nor budget. Do you build for competition yourself, or with every new build, do you look to improve on the previous build or on the previous build? So that's an excellent, really cool question. And so far it's got like 117 comments. Pretty cool comments too, I'd say. So yeah, what's
a good discussion?
Yeah, it was a real good. Blah, blah. Let's try that again. It was a real good discussion. And so, like you and I post on there. I says, I've got something to say about this, but it'd be kind of long. I think I'll make a video. And Chris was like, "Yeah, dude." So we got Chris's blessing on that and everything. And I wanted to bring you in because I kind of know what you would say, but I really want to hear what you have to say, what you would have posted. I know you saved it for this. I appreciate that. So why don't you take off first and talk about what it was that what comes to your mind about this? What's your opinion?
Yeah, and I kind of touch on something similar in my videos, especially when I talk about going to shows. So it's kind of in my wheelhouse already, which is why I think you have an idea of what I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah.
So when you tag me in the post, and I kind of briefly looked over the responses, and it's a good question because it kind of gets your gears turning about, well, why do I keep building? Why do I go through the process? What am I doing? And I think that if I'm responding to this question, I take the stance of I enjoy the puzzle solving process of building. So I've been building, for context, I've been building seriously for now, about 10 months?
Yeah, you're not even a year into it.
Yeah, so I've done this for about 10 months now, and I enjoy first off, I love cars, but I like the puzzle solving process. I like the art approach process of what I'm going to do, whether it is building a race car that I'm trying to somewhat replicate, or a street build that I kind of get more influence over what color I get to choose, what the scheme of the car, what wheels, that kind of thing. So I enjoy the artistic and the puzzle solving process when something isn't working out right. I enjoy that process. And I'm always, because I'm learning, I'm always watching you guys on the content creators. I'm looking to the Facebook groups. Just in general, I'm asking my friends and in the model meetings and going to shows. I'm looking for inspiration. I'm asking questions. And so with each build, I'm also trying to implement something new. I'm trying something. So with each build, that's also something that I'm trying to do. So moving forward with each build, it's kind of everything wrapped into one. I enjoy the puzzle solving process because not every kit's going to be the same for me. I enjoy the artistic process because I'm not painting everything the same. Not every idea is going to be the same. And I also enjoy trying to implement some sort of new technique, whether that's maybe using a new paint, or like this build that I'm doing right now. This is the first airbrush build that I'm doing, or whether that's using maybe a new photo etch from somebody or a new 3D printed part or whatever it is, trying to implement something. I'm always trying to get better. I think that kind of goes without saying. I'm not sure that I need to like necessarily clarify that, or like building for me, unless you're building for somebody else, like somebody's paying you to build it, or you're specifically like building it for somebody for, I don't know, a birthday or as a present or something. I think you're kind of building for you always, whether you're building for competition or just to put on your shelf.
That's
So
yeah.
I don't think that I necessarily need to clarify that point. But those are the main aspects that if I were to respond to this, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, let me ask you this. Like another part of it, and a lot of people would touch this, is there's this whole thing that you said it, that I kind of feel that it's a statement that's overused and used in the wrong contents and used for the wrong purposes. The whole "I build for me," that can be a positive thing, and that has turned into kind of a statement that has become uh defensatory, I guess. Like to, how dare you tell me how to paint my car, or what to use.
Yeah.
I build for me. I don't go to competition. I don't care what others think, which I think that's a bull-faced lie. You wouldn't be on Facebook showing your models if you didn't care what people thought.
Right.
With that said, um, I'm wondering with you, like when you're building and you're building for yourself, but I mean, you do enjoy going to competitions, to going to shows. Um, like what's in your head when you're building, and every time you built a new model? I know, we've discussed it a lot. We've been on Discord together, kind of building together and stuff like this, and having these discussions. Is you definitely have stated you want to be better with every model. You're like looking for the knowledge. You're asking other builders. I mean, like you said, you came into this hobby 10 months ago and you hit the road running, and you're on your fourth model, and you've already gone to you went to one of the biggest shows a couple weeks ago, the NNL West, and you had no problem dropping your models on the table and feeling confident with 1,300 other guys have been doing it like for 40 years.
Yeah.
And you have been going to some pretty reputable shows, and you've been bringing some hardware home. So you definitely came into this wanting to succeed at a level, and you are building for yourself, and you do enjoy the competition. But when you're building that model, like what's going through you? Are you building like I want to go there and kill everybody? Are you going, I enjoy going to shows, I want to impress my friends with what I've,
Yeah.
impressing your
No.
friends as far as I can't, and I'll get to that with what I have to say, because it's kind of the same. But I'm just curious on
Right.
what your thought process is while you're building the specific model you're on and wanting to go to a show.
I don't worry about, I guess this is not something that I really understood until I went to a couple shows, and they were, quote unquote competitive IPMS shows. And then the NNL West really isn't a competitive show, but
Yeah, but you got to have some huevos rancheros and
the
confidence in your build to
the
drop it on those
yeah,
tables.
the build level at that particular show. So I've gone to, that was my 7th show.
Hmm.
So I went to 6 last year. NNL West was just a couple weekends ago at the very beginning of the year on the 4th.
Yep.
And going to these shows that I went to last year, like there's some really nice stuff on the table. And I put my stuff down and I go to participate. When I'm building my stuff, I'm way harsher on myself than anybody is ever going to be. I
Yeah.
already know that. I already know all my flaws. I already know what I screwed up. I am not worried at all about anybody looking at my stuff and going like, "Oh, you didn't put that." I don't care. I'm not worried. And to be honest, I know people get really bothered or nervous. Totally understand. Number one, I am not a very like, I know it doesn't seem like it because I do a YouTube channel and all this stuff.
Mm.
I play in a band. I am not an extroverted person though. I'm very introverted. I have had to really work on being more forward and outgoing when I go to these things. But I would have to say that going to model shows has actually helped with that. But I'm not very good at it. So I get the hesitancy. I get the reluctance to take your stuff because you feel like you're on your own island and you put your stuff down on the table and you're like, I don't want somebody, oh my, it's crap and look at everybody else's.
Mm.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that stuff. Um, you put it on the table and all of your flaws melt away with everybody else's on the table. Everybody has flaws. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody's happy that you're participating. You're missing out on 50% of the hobby, in my opinion, by not going to a show, by not participating in a model club.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. The
I
amount of
agree.
enjoyment I have had by going to model shows and talking with other people about their builds, having people ask questions about my builds, gleaning information and tips, and just chatting with other people and hanging out at the shows is awesome. It's amazing. It's so much fun. And then I come home, I'm inspired. And to be fair, I am picky about my stuff that I'm building. And I kind of like, I wish I would have done better here and I wish I would have done better there, but I still take it. And I've been lucky enough. I'm not going to deny that getting acknowledged in some hardware, that's nice. But sometimes I walk away with nothing. That's okay too. I'm not
Hmm.
going, I guess the point here is the builds I'm building are not built for competition. Most of my stuff, with the exception of the one that I'm building right now, the rally car, the first 3 kits have been curbsides. It just happened to be the kits that I built, but
Yeah.
they've been curbsides. And so I'm not building those for competition. I'm not, showing the engine. I don't have an engine in those. I'm building them because I wanted to build those cars. And
Yeah.
so I took extra care picking a paint job, learning how to do body work and learning how to make sure that I had a nice paint finish. And then I put them on the table and learned how to lower cars, that kind of stuff. And so the idea that I am not building or start over, I am not building these things for competition. So I totally
Mhm.
understand when somebody is like, I build these cars for myself. I build for me. I understand. I know what you're saying. I think it's kind of a misnomer.
Yeah.
The I've seen it used in the context where somebody is like, "Well, I build for me," when they're deflecting criticism about certain things, and that's the minority.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's not meant to be like everybody that says that is trying to be, uber defensive about what they're doing. I think it's just a little bit of a misnomer because we're all building for ourselves no matter what, whether you're building for
Yes.
competition or whether you're building just to put it on your shelf. Um, even if you're not painting your model and you're just happy with the building process, that's fine. What I would say, here's my declaration that I make all the time. It doesn't matter. Take it to a show. I went to NNL West. That was intimidating. I
like
have
that.
3 cars. They're all curbsides, and I'm telling you, the lowrider paint jobs, the just the paint jobs in general, and then the amount of detail that these guys have done to their stuff and the scratch building, it was incredible. I managed to get 2 slots, one from each magazine, taking pictures of my car, and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding." I'm looking at everybody else's stuff. I'd say about 10% of the models there got cards, and I'm like, "Wow." Now whether they use that or not is, you know, neither here nor there. They probably won't use them, but I remember myself, I have the moment where I'm standing in line and I've got my white Porsche that I built, right, for
Yeah.
the group build. And a guy behind me I'd already seen his lowrider funny car
Oh yeah.
in the magazine. That one, he's
Yeah.
behind me in line, for to get his photo taken. And the one in front of me is my buddy Roger with his AJ Foyt Sprinter, like scratch built Sprinter.
Oh
Like
wow.
I'm like, and he's got the cowling off. Like I'm like, here's me with my curbside Porsche. I'm like, well, I kind of feel out of place here, but it doesn't matter. Nobody
No,
cared. You know what
nobody.
I'm saying? Nobody cared. We
A
were all
bitchin'
there just
model
checking out. Yeah.
is a bitchin' model, man.
We were just sitting, we were all there just checking out each other build. And it's so funny though. Everybody's very fragile. Like everybody's like pins and needles, like putting their cars down. I'm like, here's my tank. And I just like set it down. I'm like, plop. I just laughed because I'm like, you ain't gonna hurt this thing, and I pick it up. I'm like, here I go on my way. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying is that to the point about we're not all building on the same level or the same budget. Totally understand. And I totally understand what people mean 9 times out of 10 when they say I build for me, to your point. Um, it's a bit of a misnomer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Another
definitely.
plug for take your model to a model show. And don't just go to a model show. Take your models to a
Yeah.
model show. This is like 50% of the hobby. It's a good
It,
time.
it really is. It's a great, excellent 50% of the hobby too. You know, that whole thing with you know, taking your model to a model show. I mean, I've always been the type, like a lot of my friends, they'll build, and these are the guys that they bring awards home. They're amazing builders, great guys, and they'll build this model. It's like the old man, the Don on our club, Dave Bell. This dude, he's like in his 70s and still killing it with his model building. Lost vision in one eye, doesn't matter. He's still killing it. I go over to his house. I got to go over there and make another video in his model room. The guy's just an amazing modeler, thinks out of the box. And it's always funny to me is he'll build a banger of a model, but because he's like not really going to put a lot of detail in the chassis or whatever he does, or he's even done some slammers. He goes, well, it's just a shelf model. I'll never take it to a show. And I've always said, why not? It's killer look. I mean, take them.
I don't think there is such a
Almost
thing.
every model I build, I'll take to a show.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't think there is such a thing, and I know I've heard it from several people, and I understand the thought. Like
Mhm.
this build is not up to my standards for other builds. But what I would tell you is just because you don't think it's up to your standard, there will be plenty of other people that will be inspired by that
Yes,
build that you don't think is up to your standard. That's my opinion.
exactly. Oh, 100%.
I've seen it time and time again where somebody is like, this build isn't my greatest. And somebody else is like, this is amazing, dude. What are you talking about? So just again, I want to reiterate here that just because it's not up to your standard, somebody else can be totally inspired at a show by it, where you might think it's just, ugh. Take your stuff to a model show. That shelf model, that thing that kind of like gave you a fit. This Peugeot. This is my second. It's in the box over here. I the whole interior, chassis, roll cage, everything's airbrushed, and I didn't have not a problem. I got to the body and I did the whole thing where I sprayed too much paint on it the first time with the airbrush. I think everybody does this the first time.
Yeah.
Didn't do that with the rest of it, but I managed to do with this. Sanded it down, didn't like the color, just sanded it all the way down. Reprimered, grabbed a rattle can. That was fine. Put on these aftermarket decals because the kit decals were shot.
Oh, yeah.
And
sent me pictures.
I've never used kit decals or aftermarket decals that didn't use solution. You can only, it's just water. There's something with how they cleared or whatever. You cannot. I tried. You cannot use solution on them. And it took me about 3 or 4 decals of completely destroying them before I got the hang of it. I was like, well, I've got to start over. And I went and ordered another set of decals, grabbed another body, primered it again. We all have those things.
Mm-hmm.
This would probably be, if I had left it the way it was fine. I actually finished the whole thing. I grabbed some of the kit decals. It would have been okay. And if I did not have access to another body and didn't have the funds to go buy another set of decals, I still would have taken it to a show. I'm fortunate enough that wasn't the case. That could have qualified, though, as a shelf model.
Yeah.
I still would have taken it to a show. It would have been, in fact, where the body is here. I'm going to just out myself right now. The body.
There goes.
There it goes. The body's right here, right? Like, the body's right here. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I could have made it. But like I had the means to grab another body. I'm going to do it again. This would have been totally fine, but it would have been a shelf model, but I still would have taken it to a show. It would have never won anything. That's okay. I didn't build it to win anything. I built it because I love the car, right? So that's what I mean. I understand. I get what people are saying. I get the shelf model idea too, but my point is I would have taken this to a show. Somebody may not have been inspired by the decals, but they might have been inspired by the car and all the work I put into the engine and the interior and the seat and everything else.
Yeah, because that looked really good.
So that's my point. So this is what the original point of what the original the OP put on the Facebook group is. I build for the challenge, the puzzle solving part of this, right? That's me.
That's pretty cool.
The puzzle solving. I messed up. This is the puzzle solving part, right? That's me. I build for that part. It's frustrating, but that's part of why I do this. And this part, I build for the artistry part of it.
Yeah.
That's why I do this. This is all for me.
Yeah, exactly. It is. That's definitely, and that's really the point. No matter what your way of going about it, what you build for, we all build for us. I build for me. My take on this, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of things you already said because I am in agreement with you. My reasonings are the same. I'm just going to add a couple things to it then. So then, I won't be so long. We'll see. But I'm exactly like that. Now, a difference. I've been doing this for 40 years now. And I've had the same ticking that keeps me going in this hobby since I started. When I first started, we didn't have the internet. Well, we didn't have really anything. And for the first couple of years, I really didn't know any other model builders. I didn't know of Scale Auto, Enthusiast. I didn't really, I'd go to the hobby shop and every once in a while I'd see in their showcase, like I remember someone built the Monogram 66 Malibu with the flip nose. And the guy used thread for all of the wiring, including going to the headlight. I'll never forget that, with it being flipped open. And I was like, boom, my mind was blown. So I started using thread because I saw that was on that car. Never could find the guy, whatever. Never got to meet any modelers. Then I discovered Scale Auto Enthusiast magazine. Well, actually, before that, there was a photo contest in Hot Rod magazine, and I was building a model for that. And I thought I was doing something cool. I thought, of course, I never got it done in time and got the pictures in, but I was thinking, man, this is a shoe. I'm amazing of a model builder, in my little tiny world of me. And when the magazine came out, the first model I saw, I opened it up, was this builder from Southern California. He's not with us anymore. His name Mike Flynn. That dude, he was a big part of the beginning of Pegasus Hobbies and on the Mobius models and all that. And Mike, he was an amazing builder, amazing detail. And he had built the 16th scale funny car of Tom McEwen's Corvette. And it was fully detailed. It's like, where did he get braided line? That was the first time I saw braided line on models and all that. And right then and there, I want to go to that level. And I saw models and there was many more models like that. I wanted to go to that next level. And then I went to the store that I would frequent, the hobby shop, Hobby Bench it was at the time, which recently just closed down on 19th and Thunderbird here in Phoenix. That was their main store. They still have another one. The shop's not gone, I'm glad to report, but this one went. It was kind of a heartbreak, but this was my store I always went to, and it's where I discovered Scale Auto Enthusiast. So I went to the guy and says, is there a book out that talks about how to detail model cars? And he goes, not a book, but there's this magazine. He pointed to it, and they had like 3 months back issues of it, and I bought them up. And that changed everything for me. And then I wrote to them. I've told the story a million times. I ended up finding my model club. When I found my model club, I was so fortunate to be in a club with members that actually were winning awards in Salt Lake. They were that level of builders. Hit the mother load right there. For me, I just wanted, every model I was doing from the magazine, reading the magazines, I wanted to get better. I wanted to one day go to a model show, and I did want to win awards, but I wanted to go to a model show to meet these people, to meet other builders, and to put something on the table that would impress them. I just wanted that's cool. And I got to go to my first model show in Southern California. I had built this model that was inspired from a model in that Hot Rod magazine I talked about. It actually was a beater, and I still have that model. One day I'm going to do a video on it. And I took it to the show thinking this could probably get some looks and whatnot. I didn't know what to expect. This is like late 1988. I get there and I start seeing all these models I see in Scale Auto. And I start meeting guys like Mike Flynn I told you about. And a lot of these other Southern California modelers that were always in the magazine. Jack Davis, he was the guy who he's like the granddad of the slammer. And he built all these street rods that were amazing, but black windows and just slammed, and that's it. And of course, it was just Jim. But then I met Jim Bunch, who I had met up with him at a couple of years ago at the NHRA museum and did an interview with him. And he's one of those guys that we became friends immediately. And he's been in Scale Auto and gave me so many great tips. So I went to all these guys and I was like, here's my model. What do I need to be better? And they would say, well, don't use that. Use this. There's better product. Okay, I'll do that. Wash your hands once in a while. Don't get the thumbprint there. Yeah. I wanted to better. And then my drive was, yes, I didn't win anything that year at that model show. I wanted to come back to that model show the following year, and I wanted to bring home something. By the time I go into the second one, meeting up with Jim Bunch and all those guys I had met, and I had met guys here now in my model club, and one of the guys I went with who at that year had won best paint at Scale Auto. Scale at Salt Lake City, and had been in Scale Auto. And he was a guy who showed me a lot of, definitely pointed me in the right direction, and would look at my stuff and say, that's great, but you really need to do this and that. I wanted to every model do better, but I'm doing this for me. Yeah, I want to win awards, but it wasn't the 100% drive. I went to that second show, and I ended up bringing home a lot of neat things happened at that second show. First of all, the model that I really was killing it, that was going to be the model that, this is the one that's going to do it for me, put it on the table, nothing happened. A model that I did under a dare ended up getting all this, got a lot of, attention, and it won best engine there. And
That's funny.
Missed out winning best street rod because of a few things. I did a story on that. No need to cover it. And, I also brought back that model that I was talking about that I brought to the first show. I brought it back, and lo and behold, the model that inspired that model was there. And it was just great to put my model next to. I wish we had phones back then. I don't have a picture of that, but it was so neat to place my model next to the model that inspired it. And
to that point, real quick.
Yeah.
Did that person know that they inspired you to build that model until that point?
So unfortunately not, because I hunted for him for some odd reason. He was a guy up in Montana, and I am going to do a story on it here soon. Probably now I got to really do it like real soon. He was a guy modeler up in Montana. And from what I understand, he's no longer with us. And I believe this model is in the Salt Lake Museum.
Okay.
He wasn't there. He mailed it in. How odd is that? And I would have done everything and anything to get in touch with him. Say, he was a huge inspiration to me.
This is kind of my point, though, is that you never know.
You never know
what you will end up inspiring in somebody to build.
Right. Bring them. Bring your stuff. Hey, on a side note, and just to cap off what my whole thing is that grew into, pretty much my thinking is whenever I'm building a model and I want my next one to be better, because when I'm building, I'm usually nowadays always thinking about all my model car buddies. Like, I can't wait till I put this on table at the model meeting and see what Chuck says and see what BG says. Everybody, I can't wait to go to a show one day, meeting up with you and putting one of my models down, looking at your model, you looking at mine, and us going, damn, it's better than in pictures, that's really my drive. It's not a thing of I'm showing off to my but you want to impress your buddies and other people too, and other people that you admire.
Yeah.
To put a model down on the table, to have somebody who you admire go, wow, that's neat, is better than any award, first of all. And it also gets you to engage, like you're pretty much saying, it gets you to engage with other builders, some builders that are better than you, that you can learn from, and then some builders that are coming up that they could learn from you. And that's how everybody should really look at it. And I never like to stay stagnant. I'm always looking for what's the better product to use, what's the better way of doing it. I see something you do that, you kind of ushered in something that we're all doing now, where you were the first to start using the Mr. Hobby premium top coat, and BG's now using it and loves it, and I'm using it, and I'm about to use it, and I've been using it on one particular model. Very pleased with its performance, and that's what we all do for one another. And it's okay. I mean, listen to suggestions. If you say, like the big problem with the Rust-Oleum people, and they're having some issues, or there's guys that just claim, and I'm not going to move, and don't tell me what to use. And it's like, nobody's trying to tell you what to use. We're making suggestions that, hey, if you want to get better, which I guess we're all thinking from our point of view, like what we're talking about. We always strive to get better because we want to get better with our art. It's something that just seems to be the natural progression. And I've always liked people that were ahead of me giving me suggestions. I never would get irritated or pissed about that. I wanted to get better. And fine, if you don't, then just, whatever, back away. Don't get so mad and angry. But it, it's it's a thing that we all build for ourselves. We all enjoy it for a different reason, but really, like, it would be so great if you just, the people that are intimidated by going to shows or bringing their models, man, you'd be surprised at you'll inspire. And just to top it off, I got a quick little blip of an interesting little story that goes with that. My friend I've talked about who passed away, who's an amazing modeler, Frank Bennett. He was a custom hot rod painter, been on magazines, TV shows. Guy was just amazing. And he was the nicest dude. He was someone you could come up and ask him anything, and he was so happy to tell you how to do things. And he would get a lot of resentment from some of the lower level modelers that didn't want to get better and just, they resented more than want to learn. And it really broke his heart because he really wanted to just be there for everybody. And he never would look at other people's models and stick his nose up to it. There was this one kid that built a model. He was fairly new. He saw it on one of the message boards we used to be on. It was back in the message board days. And it was this little Camaro, and Frank loved Camaros, and he especially loved stock car racing. And he was building a lot of stock car Camaros of second gen. And there was this really cool mid-70s Camaro, Saturday night short track. And the way the guy painted it, it wasn't good. It really wasn't good. But the concept was really cool. And all Frank did was go, that model is cool. He contacted the guy and he says, your model inspired me. That is such a neat design. Would you be offended if I kind of took that idea and did it on a model I would like to build? And the guy was like, wow, really? So it was like, and later on, him talking on the internet with Frank, he started to learn from Frank and started bettering his building. So you never, like you said, you never know who you're going to impress or inspire. We are all the way up to Randy Durr gets inspired. Yeah, we all get inspired.
And I think that maybe when we ask these types of questions, or we make these types of responses to the questions, or we make a post, right?
Yeah.
The idea here behind most of these, when we do a question like this, is not so much in the scope of how stuck in your ways are you. It's more of like, what can we learn from each other?
Right.
This hobby, I think, feels inherently singular, right? We're stuck at our desk, our bench, and we're building. Most of us build alone. Now, there are ways to not do that. We're over Discord, or maybe we get lucky enough to have a build night with a model club every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's inherently, it feels like a singular activity. But it really isn't, because the whole purpose, I think, of building these things is to share them. And when you talk about sharing them earlier, right?
Yeah.
The whole point of sharing them is not for an ego boost. Again, it is nice when somebody gives you a compliment. It is nice, and it does feel good if you get an award. But really, the point of sharing them is sharing them with your buddies and then bouncing ideas back and forth, looking at their builds, them looking at your builds, and you being able to impart the things that you learned. Because, like, my friend John stresses to me all the time that model building is a series of mistakes that you have to learn to correct.
Nice.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's what model building is. You're constantly like making little oopses along the way, and you
Yeah.
have to learn how to fix those oopses. Or like a manufacturer gives you something that, like the chassis, my very first build, like the chassis was twisted. Like I had to figure out how to make the thing not 3-wheel, right?
Right.
It's those things that when I put it on the table, it's not to gloat. It's that I figured out how to make this thing not 3-wheel, and somebody looks at it and goes, "Man, that's really cool." And I can sit there and go, "Yeah, this thing, look, this thing 3-wheeled. This is how I made it not 3-wheel." And then they're like, "Oh man." And then all of a sudden, 2 builds later, they have the same problem. And I just help them not struggle with the same thing that I just did. That's what these types of questions do.
Yeah.
It's a learning process from each other. That's why going to shows helps do that, right?
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
When and I understand why people get upset about the Rust-Oleum Krylon thing, but I want to stress to the people that kind of get upset about that thing. We are not telling you to never do that. What we are trying to do is help.
Yeah.
That if you get frustrated enough at one point or another with that particular paint, here's how to help you. Here's how to make things a little easier on yourself. Here's how to make things a little better if you find yourself one day backed into a corner where you're just like, today is the day that my process has stopped working.
Yeah.
Because maybe your process has worked. You developed a way that you've learned that that's the way you like doing it. And then one day it doesn't work anymore. And you're like, well, I am really frustrated. Here's a different way. Try this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the responses, in my opinion, that's what the responses to those posts are. It's the same thing with this post. This post, what was really nice about this post is everybody's kind of just giving their feedback, and it's really, to me, all about taking little bits of what everybody has and just being like, yeah, you know what, I do feel like that, or yeah, you know what,
Right. You
that
never
is
think
a good
about it.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. One thing, the other phrase that gets said, I've been doing it for 30, 40, 60 years, and it's always worked for me type thing. I cannot say I've been building, I never stopped building model cars. I started 40 years ago, just about now. Yeah, it's 40 years now because I started in 1985. And about this time, it was actually like January, February of 1985, I built my first serious model car. And I can say that I haven't been doing it for 40 years and it still works for me. I have changed. I can't even say that I build today the way I built 5 or 7 years ago, especially since I started the YouTube channel and meeting more people and then the club starting. I have learned so much from everybody else. I'm just always wanting to learn. And I want to, and I've found stuff from you. I see guys all the time. The Facebook group is the greatest thing. I don't think there is a week to go by, at least happens, maybe not every day, but every other day, someone will post some neat little thing that they did, and it's like, that's cool. I got to try that out. That looks really, really cool. I never thought of that. Never thought of it. And I just, I'm getting close to 60 years old, and hopefully I got quite a few more years of doing this silly stuff because I got a lot of ideas I got to get built, man. Run out of time. But you know, I see this stuff and I want to try it on the next model. I want to make my next model better just for me. And I want to take it to a show. I want to, you know, I want to go to, I got an idea for a model I'm going to start building here soon that I want to have for Acme this year, that I hope to take it and put it down on the table. And it would be great
Nice.
to win a top 10. I am definitely trying to shoot for that. It is a goal. I kind of use it as a goal. If I don't win it, it doesn't matter to me. But if I put it on that table, or like, I'm sure you're going to understand this now that you went to the NNL West, same type of show. The first time I went to Acme, I had 4 of my best models. I put them on the table, and like I've always said to people, I put them on the table and they evaporated. They vanished.
Oh yeah.
They were not even, they weren't even thought of anymore after that.
It's so funny. Real quick, anecdotally.
Yeah.
The Honda that I built, the little orange Honda that I built for Jason's group build, right? That the last 2 pardon me, the last 2 shows that I went to, it had got all the attention out of my 3 builds, right?
Yeah.
I go to the NNL West, not one person paid attention to it. The Porsche and the Mercedes, my first and second builds, are the ones that got all the attention. And I said, this is just so funny. I'm laughing, right? Because I was getting ready to take my Mercedes to one of the magazines to get a photo shoot, right? And I take him in Tupperware, little sealed Tupperware things, right? And I just know I'm going to drop these things if I got to hold them in line. So I put them back in the Tupperware. So I pick it up, I put it in the Tupperware, and I'm talking to BG actually as I'm doing it. And I take 2 steps back, and this guy walks up, and he's got his big old camera, and he's like, "Oh, wait, I wanted to take a picture of that thing." I'm like, "You, okay." He's like, "Can you put it back on the table?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, sure. All right." And I'm looking at BG like, what in the blank is going on here? And so I like put it back on the table, and that car, for the first 4 shows I took it to, no one paid it any attention. And it's the funniest thing. Nobody paid attention to it at all. And then one show, it got a silver. It got a second place, and then it didn't get paid attention to. And then then again, it didn't get paid. And then at this show, it got picked for, magazine. And then this guy's over there, like, taking all these photos. I'm like, how funny are people? Like, and that's what I mean. Like, it got no attention. And then somebody was like, let me take a picture of it. I'm just like, I just started laughing. I was just like, it's just, you never know who's going to like what you got.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
And it changes in regions. You could go from one region to another. You could take the same batch of models to shows in Southern California, then to Northern California, then here into Arizona, and then go back east, and different models that you take of that group will get attention or not attention at different places. Like this one was really great in California, but nobody cared about it in over in the South,
Yeah. And it just kind of circles, like I said, it just kind of circles back to my point that you just never know what's going to inspire somebody. You never know, like when you do these posts on Facebook, all this stuff is learning. All this stuff is not so much like gloating and all that. It's all information to help and inspire other people and to learn. And when we all participate, the hobby is better because of it.
Yeah.
So I think the topic to the original poster, I think it was a great question. I like the framing of it because it wasn't like antagonistic or anything like that. Yes, Mr. Collins. It wasn't antagonistic or anything like that. It was a great framing of the question, that we're all at different skill levels. We're all at different points in model building. We all have different resources. We all have different goals. There are some people that build for competitions. It's totally okay. Some people don't. some people, and I totally understand, some people just build them just to put them on a shelf and look at them. Totally understand. Those people I would like to just kind of push you a little bit and just say,
Yeah.
model show. But I understand. I build them not to necessarily like my goal isn't to win, but I build them because, well, yeah, I want to. I'm building the car that I want to build, but I'd like to take them to a show because I want to share them. I don't build them because I'm going to win anything.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, I build them because I believe I want to participate in the hobby at a larger scale. That's why I have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel for me is a way to try and inspire and entertain people at that level, to try to bring people in.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
If somebody is roaming around at a model show and maybe they haven't built a model in 10 years, or maybe they came with their buddy and they've never built a model, or they've kind of like toyed with building a model, and then they see one of my builds and they're like, I've never seen that. I mean, I can't tell you, at some of those shows where my little Honda, somebody's like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know? And it's kind of like, this is what it is. And hopefully those kind of get somebody's gears turning to maybe not build the same thing, but it gets them to say like, well, I could build something that's kind of weird.
Or it gets them to open up to know that there's more than a Revell, Monogram, AMT, and look at Tamiya and Fujimi and all the other great model Bell kits over there in Europe, and all these great other types of cars to build. And I've noticed that a lot more, you know, in the hobby. You're seeing more. There's more guys like what you're building, what you've been pretty much building. You're not quite yet, although you got one in the works now. But
I do. I got my dart. That's on deck.
Revell dart going, and you know, and I'm can't wait to start seeing, because I know what your likes are. We've talked about cars a lot, and you and I are the same. We just like freaking cars.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Passionate areas and are kind of like, I don't know, weird interests or something like. You know, I got this thing for JDM. I don't know. I would love to own one, but then I love my muscle cars. But I like cars, man. Every car.
Yeah.
I see beauty in almost every car, believe it or not. Even some of the more mundane appliances I think are cool. I even like Teslas. Oh, I know some.
How dare you?
I always thought the Tesla S was a cool looking car, right when they first came out. So whether it was electric or gas, and I also played around with electric cars. I just think there's some neatness about them in the performance area. They do some cool stuff, but it's just, I've been an automotive freak since I was a little guy. Hot Wheels were my favorite thing. I was engrossed into them at an early age. At 3 years old, that was my favorite thing, and that was why I started building model cars, is because I was into real cars, and I have all these ideas, and I see things in Hot Rod Magazine that would inspire me. Well, I can't build real ones. I can't afford that, and that's why I found it to be such an expression, an artistic expression, and I got into the hobby and never left it because of that. And it's now growing. I got you get into buying and. You got your stash, I see, is getting bigger and bigger.
Well, this is
it's kind of hard to stop it.
Stash is in another room, and we will talk about the amount that I have purchased, because
I was talking to my daughter this morning. I says, you know what? I think I'm going to pull the trigger probably next month, and I think I'm going to build that little extra room I have. There's already a roof and a floor. I just got to build walls. I think I'm going to build that extra room because I need extra room, and I'm going to make that I'm going to make a new model room, I think, because man, holy cow, the amount of kits I tried to sell them off, but boy, they keep coming out.
I know.
Cool stuff. They keep coming out with cool stuff.
Every month I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna slow down this month. I'm only gonna
Right.
spend, here's my budget. And then inevitably, like AMT or Revell will come out with, or Mobius will have like a couple, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then Hasagawa or
Yep.
Tamiya or Fujimi or somebody will have a handful, and I'm like, you guys are killing me. And the problem is, the ones that I like inevitably are the ones that they're going to do like short runs on, because it's the like obscure or weird stuff. And I'm just like, damn it. There goes my budget.
Oh, well, throw it out the window. Whatever.
Yep.
Well, Billy, this was a great conversation. That was a great from Christopher Collins. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for allowing us to use your post. Thanks for posting such a really excellent question on the group. He says he's got more. Holy cow. We'll see. And I love that kind of stuff. I think that's what is something really great and positive on these groups. Not just the fact that we all love seeing everybody's models, post your models and everything, and we want to see what you're doing. But it's neat to have model car discussions like this, just kind of to open up our minds and make friends. It's pretty cool. So
100%
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I was looking forward. I just knew this would be a great. I don't think it would have been boring me just talking about it myself. I think I really wanted to get your take. And well, might as well. So real quick, plug your channel. What the heck?
Oh yeah, Billy Strange Auto Models. I am working on the Peugeot, the Tamiya Peugeot 205 Turbo 16 Works rally car. So what I'm doing, I'm trying something different. So I've been recording all my footage, and then I'm going to release them in the series. And then I just started also the USAC build, which is what is it? The 69 Dart GTS. So what does that have? 383 in it? Is that right?
I believe it did. Yep.
Okay. So I've already got that. I've just started that one. So look for those in the near future. I'm also going to be at the IPMS show in Fresno, put on by our friend Scale Effect.
Oh, yeah.
So I will be at that show. If anybody is attending, please say hi. And other than that, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I didn't have your new logo either. I would have put it up. Maybe I'll put it up.
The one that you did, by the way. Thank you.
Here, just give a snap. We'll throw the new logo up. Yeah, excellent.
Over my face.
Right on. Yeah, thanks. I always love doing these with you, Billy. Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I like your closeout so much that I'm going to let you close this video out.
The one that I do on my channel?
Yes, I like it. So go ahead.
All right. Well, for the Luka C channel, you've been great. I've been strange. Take care. Have fun storming the castle.
That's right. And I'll go with, I'll take BG's job for now. Here's the producers.